What are you doing?
Well, like an idiot, I put a piece of chewing gum in my mouth.
Take it out.
Wait a minute.
Oh,
But I don't want you to think I didn't brush my teeth.
oh wow. Did you?
No.
Last night.
Yes.
How about this morning?
But you might think I have bad breath or something.
No. You silly.
But listen, you worried about me over here chewing.
I think
What are you wearing all black for?
I'm live.
Yeah, we're live.
Okay, then let's. Okay. Why am I in black? Oh, no. Why don't we greet our listeners?
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. Shalom Chaverim. You are watching Jana and Stephen chat here on Israeli News Live.
Mm-hmm.
So now go back to the question, why are you in all black? I mean, here I am in yellow, yellow, and you're in all black.
Well, I'm in the morning. I just don't have a good week. So in Europe, we express our feelings with the way we dress. And I just don't have a very good week.
Does that mean I've been peed on or something, man?
Oh no, Steve, no. No, you know, guys, we had this flu in our house. It was first my son, then daughter, and now my 70-year-old father is very sick with it, and I worry about him. But my friend, good friend and sister in Christ, is losing her son to cancer.
Yes,
Breathing
that is
his
very
last.
sad.
And I mean, I know about this. I've been coaching them on some natural therapies. However, they did decide to go with doctors.
You know, with chemotherapy.
With chemo radiation, which did tremendous damage to her son. And after that, not enough of chemo radiation, they decided and persuaded them to do surgery. That particular surgery, 2 weeks later, he's dying. And he was perfectly fine. He was doing well before the surgery. He was actually... He had a lot of energy. He was, I think, even going out for walks.
We won't call their name here on the broadcast, but you know, it is an we would like to say a prayer request for them, for those of you that are listening. So an unnamed prayer request to a family that's really going through a tremendous situation right now. And so many, we've got so many of our friends that have cancer, and
I mean, we went through ordeal ourselves, but I have signed off on doctors, as people know, and I have done everything naturally, and so far I'm okay, I'm here.
Yeah.
But I just don't know what to say. It's just a really sad situation.
It's hard because there's a lot of pressure by the medical community. There's no support by the medical community for these families when there are alternative means that could help these people.
But even with alternative means, they're not cheap, and then you have to know where to go and how to get them. It's not easy in every single state. In fact, they were actually traveling 1 hour each way just to get some vitamin C in his veins, and even
it was
then,
nowhere near enough.
Nowhere near enough that what
therapeutic
needed.
You need at least 75 grams and
to
he could only
100
get
grams
15.
minimum 3 times a week, and so
wow.
Basically it just didn't happen for him, and I am tremendous mourning and very sad, because not for those who live, and I know how we feel. We are with Christ. When we die, we know we're going to his arms, but for those that we are leaving behind, it can get really difficult on them.
Yes.
And that's the only son of our sister. They were very close, and I'm just not having a good day. So
very sorry.
I'll try my best to do chat today, but it's not the best day for me. So.
All right. Just quickly, let's kind of just look. It's because on our live chat that we do each week, there we try to really quick cap out some of the more important things in news, because we don't actually do the news broadcast per se. And our good friend Lorenzo with Already Happened on Twitter, his website already-happened.com, sent this to me today privately. It's a fresh look into Kuwait, where U.S. moved thousands of military vehicles in continuous support for the APS-5. That is an operation that is supposed to protect. It's a protection shield for the Mediterranean area. Now Lorenzo puts on here the map in Kuwait where this is at. This is right here. There are thousands of tanks and armored vehicles that are here and being continuously deployed there. And just recently, I was doing a little research, and I found that the United States, just back in, I think, either November or December, sent 100 fresh new mechanics to the Kuwaiti base there for this equipment here. And that is to make sure that this equipment is operational and ready for any type of combat need. And as you can see, as far as the eye can see, and that's not even justice. This is where you really get into the justice. The Abram tanks there, and gosh, I mean, you know, all the way out there at the edge of the dock, and this is not even the base. This is just where they're being offloaded at. So thousands of the military vehicles. I asked Lorenzo about this. He says that he believes that this is for Iran. Mm-hmm. They're getting ready to go to war with Iran, and that's one of the reasons. Now, another good point, Jerusalem Post, yesterday, I didn't even catch this, the THAAD missile defense system has been placed by the United States in Israel. Their Prime Minister Netanyahu today did a selfie with a bunch of U.S. Soldiers inside of Israel that he posted on his Twitter page, because we follow him on Twitter as well. But the THAAD system is there. Now, the THAAD is the high altitude system. This thing is designed for nuclear weapons coming in, is really what the end of the day it comes down to. This is designed for nuclear weapons. And there's a fear. Israel has a fear, even if it's pretext, but there is a fear of something greater than just a small war. And they know, and I know this, I sent to the Israeli Knesset information that has been shared with us that the Iranians do have a missile system that travels 4 kilometers a second that they developed. We did make them aware of this information that was shared with us, because regardless of the politics in Israel right now, which I don't agree with, and I even wrote that in the letter to the contact that I have in the Knesset, I said I don't agree with the current administration and what they're doing, but the safety of the Israeli people is still first and foremost in my mind. And because I know the intelligence of what the Iranians actually have at their disposal, I wanted them to be aware of it. So we did contact them and we let them know. So the THAAD system has been deployed there, and it's not looking good. And we know that I just spoken on the news not long ago. Russia was trying to move the refugees down by Al-Tanf to get them out of that area there. The U.S. refused to allow them to do that. I think over 4,000 refugees are down there. It lets me know that Russia is getting ready for some kind of confrontation down near Al-Tanf because of ISIS militants embedded around the United States military. And it may be because of the Iranian situation, because that is the throughway right there. But, you know, what's interesting, because you shared with me this video right here, and before I play it, and you speak about the man that this video is about, I want to say this. We've got a very good friend in Israel. He is a very big oil man. Mm-hmm. He has worked with the Alaskan pipelines. He has worked with the Israeli pipelines as well. He has shared photos with me of the pipeline that is in Haifa. He's told us about how that it's going underneath the sea to Greece, that this oil pipeline will cross the deserts going across Syria back towards the east. And oddly enough, as he said to me, he said, Steve, this is what the wars are all about in the Middle East. It's all over who gets the right to do these pipelines. And you shared this video with me earlier today.
Well, MSNBC, you know what they're going to say, fake news.
Yeah.
But anyway, Gary Bagua is real, and we are wondering what all these wars that they're about to happen, what they're about, and does United States really has to be involved in all these wars? Why are we sending our boys and girls to fight? Is this really for democracy? Is this really for freedom to protect our country here in United States? Well, we are finding out from very important people this is not so. And the reasons for these wars are completely different, and that's not told to the reason they're not told to the American people. The video you're about to see is by Gary Vogler. And who is Gary Vogler? Let me read of who he is. Right now he's a president of Howitzer Consulting LLC, but from December 2006 till September 2011, he was a senior oil consultant for U.S. forces in Iraq. And before that, he served as Deputy Senior Oil Advisor, CPA for Baghdad, and as Senior Oil Advisor, ORHA, for the Pentagon, Kuwait, and Baghdad. I mean, that's a person who was really involved in Iraq with the oil. So, and
yes.
Let's see what he has to say, why Iraq
Absolutely.
wars
Let's take and blow this up full screen and let's take a listen. Well, let me refresh the page. It could be that the page just needs refreshing. Sometimes that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
It was probably the first week in July of 2003, and all of a sudden the phone started ringing. I said hello, and I heard a voice say, "Gary, this is Mike Makovsky." He said, "We need to know the status of the Hafu pipeline." Or at least what I wrote down in my notes was HAFU. And I didn't recognize this pipeline. I had studied the infrastructure of Iraq for the previous 6-7 months. I knew where every pipeline was. So I'd never heard of this Kirkuk to Hafu pipeline. So my curiosity was aroused. I said, okay, who wants to know? He said, oh, top priority. And I said, was that Doug Feith? And he said, above Feith. So I go out the next day, and I was spending probably an hour to an hour and a half every day with Godbun at that point. I said, Thamar, can you tell me the status of the Kirkuk to Hafu pipeline? Well, at that point, I looked at him. He looked like he was having a heart attack. He tensed up. And he looked at me, he said, Gary, you don't want me to ask that question of this organization. And I looked at him and I said, okay, I'm game. Why shouldn't I be officially asking that question? And he said, there are a lot of people in this country, and certainly a lot of people in this ministry, that feel like the biggest reason why the U.S. came into Iraq is to take our oil and give it to Israel. He said, if I go out with a question like that at this point, he said, I'd just be confirming their convictions. And when he said Israel, all of a sudden it dawned on me that it was Haifa, not Hafu. And it was a pipeline from Kirkuk to Haifa. And at that point, I recognized that, yes, we were dealing with something very, very sensitive that could be part of that information requested that results in soldiers being killed. And so I said, this is a hot potato. So I went back to the palace, and Mike called again at 4 o'clock, and he said, okay, what's the status? And I said, Mike, look, this is a hot potato you've requested here. I said, this is serious. I said, I didn't realize it was Haifa that you were talking about. I said, I need for you, if you truly want the status report on this, I need for you to put it in writing, tell me exactly what it is you need and why you need it, and I'll sit down with Ambassador Bremer and we'll discuss how we go about doing this. And at that point the line went dead, and so there was no response, and he never called back.
Okay, so
now let me real quick before we move on with this. I really would like to just go back. I want for everyone to see this map they show on here again. Let me just see if I can find that in the right spot. There we go. Now, when I was talking to my good friend who literally is working on this pipeline as we speak, and now the infrastructure, everything is going together. The Chinese in Haifa are building the port there, and he told me because I said, the Russians and the Turkish have just finished their pipeline going across. And he said to me, it doesn't matter. He said, one way or the other, we are finishing this pipeline. And he said, if Russia doesn't get out of the way, he said, we will destroy Russia in the process. That's how serious he said this was. He said, this is why the wars are fought, Steve. And he says, and we are going straight over. Now, he did not mention Kirkuk specifically where the pipeline was going, because I never could quite figure it out. If it's in Iraq or if it's going to the United Arab Emirates, why did they have to go across Syria? Why? Because I even wondered about this. Why couldn't they, if they're just going to go over here, because Kuwait would be way down this way here, the United Arab Emirates, why not just, jog down, stay inside of the country of Jordan, and then shoot across? What would be the big deal? But in the case of Kirkuk, well, now we're starting to see why that matters. And of course, yes, you'd need to go across Syria in order to be able to do that. So that's where the issue is. And so I can see why they're getting ready to gear up for war. And of course, notice also too, Yanka, Al-Tanf, Deir ez-Zor. You can't see it on his map here, but Deir ez-Zor is right here in this locale here. Al-Tanf is right down here in this area here. And of course, Damascus is running right through the heart of Damascus to get that pipeline in. That's why the United States, besides the eastern side of the Euphrates, they're maintaining control of the Deir ez-Zor region, they're maintaining control of the Al-Tanf region, and they're going to make sure they take out Damascus. This pipeline is going in whether anybody likes it or not. And as I was told, they will do whatever it takes.
Well, it's really sad that what they told American people, that they need to go to Iraq, and America has to agree to Iraq war because of 9/11. And we know that this is a hoax. It's not true, that they have done 9/11 to cover up the real things, why they had to go to Iraq. And at the end, you find out it was an illegitimate war. There were no weapons of mass destruction. It was about the pipeline for Israel, the oil for Israel from Iraq, because apparently, as I was reading about it, this pipeline was working from 1930s till 1948 when the state of Israel was born. But then Iraq has closed it, and it was going through Syrian pipeline. But the United States had to pay a lot of money.
25%.
25%. And that's why Benjamin Netanyahu said many times that 9/11 has benefited Israel economically. And you wonder why he said that, why it was so good for Israel, this 9/11
Why economically?
Day. Why economically? Well, now we understand why. And of course, there is always somebody, there is a whistleblower, always somebody that will come up with the truth. Just like Bible says that everything covered up shall be uncovered.
And the thing is, we didn't need it. Right off the coast of Israel, you have the Leviathan oil fields there. There is oil there. Lebanon that will end up getting a share. Syria would have a share in this. Israel will have a share. But Israel is very concerned as well, and there is a dispute already with Lebanon over where Israel is drilling, because Lebanon is claiming it's in their territorial waters. So, and oddly enough, I've got another friend with intelligence community says that Israel is going to take out Lebanon, then Syria, then Iran. And of course, Wesley Clark, he named all the countries. Right. Lebanon was included. Why Lebanon? Hezbollah has been placed there in order to be the boogeyman. Hezbollah is not a good guy. I agree with that, but it's another day we'll go into where that comes from.
Evangelical community in the United States, they're following pastors who say, oh, this is a prophecy, everybody's coming against Israel, only to find out that no, that real deals about the war are completely different. That's what's being told to the people of the United States. And I don't like that. And this is nothing against Jewish people. We are Jews, as we say, we are Jewish. It's nothing against Jewish people. This is not anti-Semitic. What it is, it's really injustice done to American people, that we are sending our own children to fight Israeli wars. We are not going there to fight our own freedoms or our own philosophy,
Right. Well, I would go so far as to say this. All the nations coming against Israel, no doubt it could be fulfilling prophecy as well. But what caused all these nations to come against Israel in the first place? And that can be seen right here in this passage here in the Hebrew language. Uvane paratzi amcha. All right, the angel Gabriel is speaking to Daniel, and he says, the sons of the violent of your people, amcha, your people, Daniel, which would be Jews, inasu laha'amid chazon. All right, they will try to lift up or marry the vision. Mm-hmm. They're trying to make the prophecy come to pass, but their own actions, Daniel even shows that their actions are the ones that is trying to bring about that prophecy to start
right,
with.
but Stephen, we also talk about what is true Israel of God, that these are the people, believers in Yeshua. And when all nations come against those believers, I think that's the real fulfillment of the prophecy. Because as we've been speaking about Noahide Laws,
that's
we are seeing that the entire world is uniting in Noahide Laws to come against believers in Yeshua.
The final saying right here,
right.
Venachashalu, which is, and they will stumble. Right. So undoubtedly then, it may not bring the whole world against them per se, but as you've said, and as we've discussed this in the past as well, who are they coming against? The true Israel of God, which are the believers in Yeshua.
Yes.
And yes, that's exactly what's going to happen, which brings us to what our program is all about.
Well, I would like to read first some comments, as we always do. We take 2 comments, usually negative ones, and we try to answer them. So, and sorry, because, people say that we talk over one another. Some people complained, and I'm sorry when that happens. We are in a chat, and it's just so easy to happen with me and my husband talking over each other. So we'll try to get better.
This one here, slide 2.
One is one Colin, the other one is by Debbie Q. Can you please?
Okay, there's Debbie Q.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I would like to read that email. It was one of the.
Goodness.
No, it's okay. I can read it to people.
But make sure her email is not showing, right? I don't see her email.
No, I just made it.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
So we have received a lot of positive comments. Thank you very much. And we always answer 2 negative comments. And from these comments, we're actually going to go into the Noahide Laws and prove that what is really happening all over the world with these Noahide Laws is not something we are just making up. So
you want me to read it?
Yeah, you can read. A lady by name Debbie Q says,
yes, I just read the Noahide Resolution HR 102-14, and it says nothing about killing anyone. It isn't even a law. It is a resolution to designate March 26, 1991 as Education Day USA. The President is requested to issue a proclamation calling upon the people of the United States to observe such a day with appropriate ceremonies and activities. She gives the statute web address. This doesn't seem to apply to any other day in the entirety of history. I believe things are way wrong in this country, and I believe Dr. Day. However, I don't understand how Noahide laws are any consequence. Number 1, do not worship idols. Worshiping Jesus is idolatry punishable by beheading according to Dr. Day. Number 2, marry to have children. Number 3, do not commit adultery. Number 4, do not consume blood. Number 5, do not steal. Number 6, do not murder. Number 7, do not bear false witness. Some of these were repeated by Moses. Question 1, do Jews behead people? Question 2, since this is a resolution, as so far as I know, no appropriate ceremonies are going on today. Why is this an issue? This was for education and ceremonies to be done on March 26, 1991.
Okay, so Debbie, you're not well informed on this particular Noahide laws. First of all, these are not Noahide laws, the 7 Noahide laws as they are.
Well, I will say this. No matter where you look, there's always different verbiage for these Noahide laws, and some of those are watered down. What people are not aware of is they're coming from the Talmud, and therefore they're interpreted by the rabbis based on the Talmud, And that's where the danger is.
Right, there is no 7 Noahide laws in Bible and the Torah. There is
That's
no
right.
7 Noahide laws. They were never given to Adam, never given to Moses as 7 Noahide laws.
And Noah never mentioned
For
them.
the nations or Gentiles, because this is what Jews say. Jews say that 7 Noahide laws are for the Gentiles, while 10 commandments are for the Jews. And then, of course, 613 commandments are for the Jews. But that 7 Noahide laws are for the Gentiles. Problem with them is that they're interpreted by rabbis. They originate from the Talmud. And according to Talmud, worship of Jesus Christ is idolatry. This is what Dr. Day was speaking about on interview the other day. We had her here. She's the wife of a former congressman, Mr. Dennemeyer. And very soon I'm going to show his letter again. And he himself has described the day, how it has all happened, that the law got passed and how it got passed. Okay, so yes, according to 7 Noahide laws, worship of Jesus Christ is idolatry and is punishable by decapitation. And I will show it today in some slide as well from Jewish Encyclopedia. However, she says it's not even a law. Now, this is very tricky, Steve, because it comes under Education Day USA, under education law, on a Schneerson's birthday. So people don't realize it was actually signed into a law. Well, I want to actually show, on that example, I want to show a video by Rabbi Cohen speaking in the United Nations. And he's speaking about the Noahide laws, and I have prepared here.
This one here?
Yes. Now that's a very long interview.
Rabbi Yaakov Cohen.
Yeah,
Okay.
that is a very long video, so we don't have like time to really play all of it. We are going to leave you a link that you can play it and watch it for yourself. But this is Rabbi Cohen.
What minute mark would you like to play?
And let's start at 5:30. Okay, where he will say, and you help me to understand, does he say it was recognized as a public law in United States? Try it 5:30.
I quote, comprise 7 universal biblical binding all humanity. And in the United States Congress, this was recognized as Public Law 10241.
Okay, stop.
The,
Public
and
law.
to
That's
quote-
what he says, 10201. In
Yes,
Congress,
yes.
it was recognized
Now-
as a public law.
Let me play it one more
102,
time, though, because
exactly.
people need to hear
Right,
how
go
he says,
back
because it's
to-
binding on all.
Please
binding.
go back to 520. Let him
Okay.
ramble on.
All right, let me
Yeah.
make sure the volume.
Now, again, this is
all right.
Rabbi Cohen, who is an ambassador to the United Nations. United Nations have accepted Noahide laws as a universal code for all humanity. Now, he goes there every year and he has a speech in United Nations.
comprise 7 universal biblical binding all humanity. And in the United States Congress, this was recognized as Public Law 10241.
Right,
Binding all humanity.
exactly.
And it was
Exactly.
recognized.
In United States Congress, he's right.
Yes,
We
and then
talk
he
with-
cites the actual one that she cites as well.
Yes.
But he, as you notice, his own verbiage, binding all humanity.
Right.
All right?
Now, at the end, and I will show part, as we said, we're going to leave you a link. You can listen to entire speech. They're dressing up this speech to something extremely innocent. You have to read between the lines and you have to understand what is really happening when you're listening to these rabbis. Now, these rabbis are representatives for the state of Israel and for Sanhedrin. And they're accepted in not only in United Nations, but in governments all over the world. United States, Europe, everywhere.
Where do we
Okay.
go to next?
Go to, okay, first, before we go there, you will come to a point now, Steve, where there will be Q&A, and a man from Norway is going to ask Mr. Cohen, how can Noahide law be passed in Norway when most of populations are atheists? Like they
Okay.
don't believe in God, and Noahide laws require belief in one God. Now he's going to rumble a little bit and say, now notice what he's going to say. He's going to say, well, we had a similar problem in America because of the church and state separation, but we were able to do it through the public education law.
Okay.
Okay, so that's like admission. We got it into the system. We got it into.
We used a loophole.
We used the loophole, in other words. I mean,
Yes.
that's how you understand it. But go ahead.
What
Started
mean-
maybe 1528, and maybe a little more. 1520. Try that one.
Any other questions? Go ahead. She wants to. Oh, after, sorry. Yeah, sure.
My name is Daniel. I'm from Norway. For many years, we've been a Christian country. We had a state church, but we removed this because of the growth of atheists. So the Noahide Code, the first rule is do not deny God. Then how can you expect countries such as Norway to implement this rule if you have a growing population that do not believe in it?
Okay. Very good question. In America, there was this challenge because of the separation of church and state, meaning that the government cannot, it's freedom of religion, and the government cannot impose any religion on any people. And if you want to go to a church, a mosque, and I argue that, by the way, marriage shouldn't be imposed. This is to give you a little side thought that marriage is between man and wife, and if the government should not interfere in redefining that, and if they want to, they could issue a license to marry, and if you decide to get married in a church, mosque, or synagogue, it's your choice, and not to get married at all. The same rights should apply, just like they issue a driver's license. But to answer your question, the American government had that issue between church and state, and they overcame it by saying it's education. Obviously, if you're going to say there's no God, one of the first laws is to believe in God. There's a famous saying: "There's no atheist in a foxhole." Even though they tried to. The issue of having a church controlling the government was very dangerous, because, like you see what's going on in the Middle East or what happened in Europe, is dangerous, because then you don't have freedom of religion. You have one religion, that's all. If you don't dance to their party, you're out on a stake or somewhere. But the point is that they overcame it in America by having it promoted as education and so on. It doesn't have to say respect God. It doesn't have to say you have to pray to in a church or in. It says respect the higher authority.
Okay.
That do you realize? I mean,
Yeah.
the man just sits there and tells you that to separate church and state, because you can't have one religion imposing their beliefs on you.
Right.
But yet, this is
Imposition of one religion on
Judaism
Yeah.
imposing what they believe to be the laws on Gentile peoples. In other words, if you're Christian, if you're Muslim or whatever, you have to abide by these laws. You can
Exactly.
still, and this is what's interesting, because if you'll notice, what did Pope Francis say not long ago? I'm not asking you not to be Catholic any longer, when he brought all the denominations back under the umbrella, which, by the way, that included non-denominations too. If you're attending a non-denominational church right now, look and see and ask that pastor if he's not under an umbrella of a denominational church. Normally they are. We had it happen too many times. We visited churches. We were visiting back years ago, one after another, and every non-denominational church was under a denomination umbrella, but practicing as a non-denominational church. They just figured out another way to get you in, is all.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yes, exactly. But what's really disappointing is that he brings, problem of separation of church and state and how they overcome it by a loophole, by going through education, by signing it in a Congress as a law through Education Day. And last time we have shown you from the government website, and you can go back to our last chat, where we showed you from the government website that it declares that Noahide laws are basis of the United States system, right?
Yes, it is.
We have read it from the website.
Absolutely.
So you can go back to our chat and find it out. But also he's explaining how in Judaism there is no such thing as separation in church and state. Go back to point 7:30, minute 7:30, 7 minutes 30 seconds. And he will explain to you that they don't believe in separation of church and state.
In civil society and business community, meaning everyone has to work together. In Torah, in Judaism, the civil society and the rabbinic society and business all work hand in hand. So it's not separate branches that don't talk to each other and send memos and fight each other, but it's all working together in unison.
Do you
The
hear
United
this?
Nations,
Okay, that's
on
good.
December
You know what he said?
10th,
What's in
1948, when this
Judaism?
organization was
All
founded.
branches. The rabbinical branch, the civil branch, the military, everything is
They
one.
all work together.
They all work together. They're all on the umbrella of these religious Talmudic beliefs. So basically here, if you listen to the entire speech, please, but I'm just showing you here points to prove to you that yes, it was indeed signed. Now, go to the next slide. What the Congressman Dana wrote an open letter to American people.
This, by the way, was Dr. Lorraine Day's husband.
And it is still, I mean, he's alive. He's in his 90s right now. He doesn't talk to people anymore. His wife is talking on several interviews, but
Bill Donnemeyer, U.S. Congressman from 1979 to 1992.
Right.
Your U.S. government can now legally kill Christians for the crime of worshiping Jesus Christ. A diabolic deception has been perpetrated on the American people by their own leaders, senators, and congressmen who have sold their soul to the devil on March the 5th, 1991 in the House of Representatives and March 7th, 1991 in the U.S. Senate without any knowledge of or input by the people of the United States. U.S. senators and congressmen passed a law that is so outrageous and frankly unconstitutional that it forces the American people to be bound by a set of monstrous rules called the Noahide Laws, rules that make the belief in Jesus Christ a crime punishable by decapitation by guillotine. On March 20th, 1991, President George H.W. Bush, a supposed Christian, signed the bill into law. Before you respond, no, that cannot be. Not in our free country. Let me explain. The passage of this law, H.J. Resolution 104, is especially troublesome to me because I was a member of the U.S. House of Representatives at the time it was passed. Even worse, I was in the House chamber the very day that it passed, voting on other legislation. Yet I, as a U.S. Congressman, had no knowledge that it had been passed or even that it was to be brought up for a vote. How could this be? How could the deception be so pervasive that those of us who had sworn to uphold our country's Constitution, particularly those of us few indeed who really took our position seriously as the protectors of the people, could be totally in the dark regarding the content of this bill and its passage by the leaders of this country by treachery and deceit? Here's how it happened. On January 31st, 1991, an innocuous sounding resolution was introduced designated March 26, 1991 as Education Day USA. It was purposely given this name to deceive the American people. That goes back to the answer of the lady that said that it was not a law.
Right. And then Cohen.
And here's the congressman writing about it.
That it was a deception.
It was purposely given this name to deceive the American people. It was in fact a double deception because not only did the resolution have nothing to do with education, it was also deceptively billed as a vehicle for recognizing the 89th birthday of Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson. But in truth, the resolution was nothing less than a secret, underhanded plot to control the American people by the Noahide Laws, a subterfuge for the elimination of Christianity, the elimination of all Christians, and the enslavement of all remaining Gentiles. The resolution, first introduced by Minority Leader Republican Robert H. Mitchell of Illinois, was then referred to the House Post Office and Civil Service Committee. Early in March 1991, 225 members of the House had signed on as co-sponsors of this resolution. but it's highly doubtful they were given the full text of the document. They were probably told only that it was a resolution in honor of Rabbi Schneerson's birthday. Most likely they had no knowledge that the treacherous Noahide laws were silent attachment. I was not one of the co-sponsors. The committee referred this resolution to the House for a vote on March 5, 1991, but here is where the real treachery begins. The record states that the House of Representatives passed this resolution by unanimous consent. But what the average American does not know is that unanimous consent is a euphemism for getting a bill passed under the radar, with almost no one present to vote and with no record of who voted or how they voted. A congressman's ears prick up when he hears the words unanimous consent because he is aware that this may be a signal for a skullduggery, and in this case it most certainly was. On the day of this resolution was passed, the entire membership of the House of Representatives had already been dismissed after having been told that the day's work, including all the voting, was over. We could all go home. It was then, after virtually all members had left, that the traitorous authors of this resolution brought it up for a vote on the House floor. With only 4 hand-picked members present, it was then deceitfully passed by unanimous consent on March 5, 1991, by a voice vote with almost no one there, no record made of their names or how they voted. 2 days later, on March 7, 1991, the U.S. Senate passed the resolution by voice vote, also with no recorded vote. On March 20, 1991, it was signed by President George H.W. Bush and became Public Law 102-14.
And you can look it up. It's there. Okay, so we don't have to keep reading this. We already did, I think, last time, but I just let you read on because we need to keep repeating this information until people truly understand. Why don't we go to another email, the second email that I got? Not email, but I think it was a message.
Okay, do you see it yet?
No. Okay, go down. Message calling Bryant. Okay, can you please read it?
Try fact-checking the 10 Commandments when comparing to Noahide Laws. Jesus cannot kill anyone for worshiping Jesus as Messiah.
Jews cannot kill.
Jews cannot kill anyone for worshiping Jesus as Messiah according to Jewish law. Idol worship is outlawed in 10 Commandments and the Noahide Laws. So it is don't kill in the don't kill in the Jewish law. This is anti-Semitic hate garbage.
Okay, let me make sure because what he said, because you kind of made mistakes in reading it. He says, try fact checking the 10 Commandments when comparing to Noahide laws. We did. Okay, Noahide laws resemble the 10 Commandments a little bit, right? Few commandments look like 10 Commandments. However, these are fake 10 Commandments or counterfeit. 7 Noahide laws are a counterfeit to the 10 Commandments. Oh, you just took the email off. Sorry. Cannot see.
I gotta pull something up for that. You go ahead.
Okay, Jews cannot kill anyone for worshiping Jesus as Messiah according to Jewish law. False. According to Jewish law, halakha, the worship of Jesus Christ is considered idolatry, and according to halakha, idolatry is punishable by death, by decapitation. I'm going to show you from next slide.
One second, let me just show something here if I can find the right spot for it. Maybe it's here. Okay, not this one. What a lot of people are not aware of.
Mitzvot of non-Jews. Okay. Yeah.
All right, let me read it from here. Kabbalah Online. This is from the Chabad.org website. These are the people that are pushing this law. This is what you normally don't see. Let me first show you one thing. Same website, Chabad.org. Let me show you real quick. don't profane God's oneness in any way. Do not curse your Creator. Do not murder. Do not eat a limb of a living animal. Do not steal. Harness and channel the human libido. Establish courts and laws to ensure justice in our world. All right? That's one part of the website. Then there's the part that people like me know about because you're Jewish and you've been a part of it, and you know the other side of what is written about the 7 Noahide Laws. Let me show you what's written here.
Babylonian Talmud, Sanhedrin 56a is the origin of that law.
Exactly.
Okay. So.
Notice here, carry out justice. They put it backwards in this one here. They put number 7 at the top, which is actually the way it is in the Talmud. Okay, no blasphemy, no idolatry. Number 3, prohibits the worship of any human or any created thing. Also prohibited is the making of idols, involvement with the occult. This necessitates an understanding of the one God of Israel and his nature. All right? They consider Yeshua as a human because he was born and came to this earth. All right? But you have to remember, the Jews of today, and not every Jew is like this, by the way, and let me make sure I really clarify this. Not all Jews would go along with this to begin with. We have a lot of secular Jews that don't believe this. They believe in God, but they don't believe in the Noahide Laws. All right? So this is not anti-Semitic. All right? But the problem is, just like it was in the days of Yeshua, they said, we cannot, according to our law, put Jesus to death. Mm-hmm. So we hand him over to the Romans to do the dirty work.
Right.
All right? Why do you think the Noahide laws are being passed on to like American civil law? All the other European Union civil law.
That's right.
The civil laws of all the nations around the world. Because, no, the lady is right in one thing. The Jews are not going to kill themselves. They won't do it because thou shalt not kill. We don't believe in death penalty. Now, they're trying to change that, though, by the way.
No, actually, in a Talmud, Steve, and I was doing a lot of research in a Talmud for upcoming conference and for previous conferences. In the Talmud, the Jew is allowed
to kill a Gentile.
A Gentile.
But he can't kill a Jew.
Not a Jew. Okay, so when Jews, like, and when I say the word Jew, I mean, it sounds like Jew, so anti-Semitic. And that's not what we are really trying to say. What I'm trying to tell you that the land of Israel is hijacked by a very criminal group, okay? By a religious Orthodox criminal group who is gaining power, who is joining up with Likud party, right-wing Likud party, and who is getting into the governments of the world, including United States government. And we have this particular group called Chabad Organization of Lubavitch Movement. We have them in our White House right now through Jared Kushner. And Trump is cooperating with Chabad. So did all 6 presidents before him in signing this proclamation. Yes. So basically, the Jewish people cannot kill fellow Jews. When they say you do not kill, they mean fellow Jews.
Yes, as far as according to Talmud, that's exactly right.
According to Talmud, which Bibi Netanyahu has promised, the Talmud as a Mishnah and Gemara is going to be legal code in a state of Israel when it becomes a Jewish state.
Now, let me clarify one thing. So again,
Jewish people can kill Gentiles legally. Yes. They're not considered breaking any of the 10 commandments because it applies only to the fellow Jews and not Gentiles. Gentiles are portrayed as animals and as someone who doesn't, the souls of Gentiles don't come from a divine sphere, but it comes from evil spheres.
Let's clarify one thing, because I've been asked this question quite a bit in relation to where Paul speaks about in Romans 11 that they were blinded for the sake of the Gentiles. All right, now that is very true, and I do believe that there is a remnant of the true Israel of God that is living in the land today. I believe that there is a remnant that are still blind to the identity of Yeshua as Messiah. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, this is why we see an evangelizing of the Jewish people by Jewish people. You know, I do believe that the 2 witnesses will have a major impact as well, and I believe that there will still be that remnant will come completely to the full maturity of the knowledge of Yeshua as Messiah and will not accept the Antichrist, the false religious one that they're trying to put forth. And maybe even those among the Chabad organization. I mean, I've had many Chabad organization Jews that I have witnessed to that have ended up believing that Yeshua is the Messiah. I mean, my own cousin is one of those.
Right.
You know, and he was a Chabad Jew.
Right.
He had Levitical privileges. And he believed, and not only did he believe, his wife believed.
Yes.
But you know, some extreme circumstances. So yes, we do believe that there is a remnant, and that yes, they were called home to the Promised Land. You know, not to say that we agree with the Zionists that brought about one of the worst criminal acts against the Jewish people to so that the state of Israel could be formed. But from that crime, God also has been able to allow the remnant to make it into that land that also fills with biblical prophecy. So please don't mistake the fact that we're pointing out the crimes of the Zionist organization there, that also, by the way, during the Holocaust, were sending millions of Jews to their deaths in collaboration with the Nazi Party, Eichmann, and all these guys. They were corroborating with them, getting their riches out, while poor Jews that were looking for the Messiah were being murdered in the concentration camps of Auschwitz and Dachau and all these other camps that were over there. So I just want to make sure you guys know that. My wife believes the same way on that, but because sometimes when you're really trying to deal with this, how dangerous this is for our believing brothers and sisters who are Gentiles or parts of the remnants of the house of Israel, they've got to realize we have to say this to warn you, or you will be in the same Holocaust situation called FEMA camps in America, and they have FEMA camps in Canada as well.
That's right. And all over the world, basically.
Yes.
Okay, so here we go. Let's go to another slide, Steve, because I would like to show to the people.
I was going to show you if there was
Okay.
real quick there.
In Kabbalah, you know, the Chabad organization promotes
Yeah.
Kabbalah, which
Yeah.
is basically a Jewish voodoo, movement.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Is this where we need to go next?
We have a Jewish encyclopedia, the unedited full text of the 1906 Jewish encyclopedia, but it wasn't changed, okay, until today. They didn't change anything. And they're describing these 7 laws. And when you are reading them, they are all actually saying right here that decapitation is a punishment. So, and I didn't highlight it, Steve, so if you can help me.
That's what I'm looking for right now.
Yes. Against eating animal sorcery.
So here's where they're all noted at.
Mm-hmm. You can keep. Yeah, I don't. You see, I have to because I didn't know how to highlight it for you,
Okay.
so you can show it to people. But in this particular text, they're saying that any violation of any of the Noahide laws is actually decapitation, which is laws before Sinai was repeated. Okay. Was very nice. Also required a great.
Here it is, right here. Here it
Yeah,
is.
where is it? Decapitation.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. But a few exceptions. All right.
The punishment.
The punishment meted out to a Noahide for the transgression of any of the 7 laws is decapitation. All 7 they say is decapitation.
Mm-hmm.
The least painful of the 4 modes of execution of criminals. C. Capital punishment. The many formalities of procedure essential when the accused is an Israelite need not be observed in the case of the Noahide.
But anyway, right here they're admitting that it is a decapitation punishment for if you break any of the 7 Noahide laws. So this is for Brian actually the proof, and in their Talmud and their Talmudic halakha, the decapitation is definitely a punishment for breaking 7 Noahide laws. This is why it's very troubling that it is in the United States education law, And really, Steve, we have got to do something about it, get people together, and maybe
this way they can see it now.
what we got to do, Steve,
Decapitation.
yes, what we have to do is ask for removal, official removal of that statement from the Public Law 104.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think we are getting together with Dr. Pigeon, who is a 2 times doctorate in law, and he has a 2 doctorates in law, I believe.
Yes.
And we are going to put together something for the people so they can sign our own resolution that we want those Noahide laws removed from the United States. They have got to go.
Absolutely.
Simply, they have got to go.
Absolutely.
Right. So what are they doing? They are basically celebrating Schneerson's birthday. And today's show is about Leaven of the Pharisees. And I wanted to show the people their double standard. How are they portraying Schneerson? Who is Schneerson, Steve? He was a leader. Was a leader of a Chabad organization.
Yes, he was.
Okay, and now he's portrayed by many Jews as the Messiah.
Yes.
Okay, and even after his death, they're thinking of him as coming back from the dead as a future Messiah, or actually reincarnating into someone.
And he's prayed
right?
to on a regular basis.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go to the next slide.
This one here?
Yes, I don't know which one is next.
Okay, this one is the New World Encyclopedia, Noahide Laws.
Is that a new one?
Because this is what we were just on. Now we want to this one.
Okay, yes.
Or did you want this one?
Yeah, now, how are they looking at the Noahide laws? But before we go into this, Steve, keep it up there. I want to go to my book that I always bring with me, The Divine Code by Rabbi Moshe Weiner, which I'm studying. This is the book about the Noahide laws to the great detail. Okay, he's the one who works with Sanhedrin, responsible for dissemination of Noahide laws and education of the Gentiles and Jews, because they believe that it is a duty of the Jewish people to bring Noahide laws to the Gentiles. So over here, and I made my little notes about it, just a second, give me a minute. Page 113, they show hypocrisy, because this is what they say on a page 113 about idolatry. They say if one only praises and lauds the supposed deeds or beauty of an idol, or thanks it for his well-being or good fortune or happiness, or complains to it about his problems, but he doesn't verbally accept its divinity, then he is not liable for capital sin, even though such speech is forbidden. So basically what they're saying, Steve, that if you are in the branches of Christianity where you don't think of Jesus as divine, you will be okay. Isn't that weird?
It is very
So
weird.
we have some branches of Christianity, or people who want to call themselves Christians, like Jehovah's Witnesses, for example, right? And they're saying that 133, just a second, 133. Yes, so one who serve an idol out of love, for example, he desires this idol because its service is very pleasing, or who served it from fear that it may wrong him, just as its worshippers believe that it has the power to do good or evil to a person, is liable if he accepts it as a deity. If he served it out of love or fear with its traditional manner of service, or with one of the 4 special services of the Holy Temple, but he does not accept it as a deity, okay, he is exempt from punishment. So basically, the branches of Christianity that do not say that Jesus is God, like Jehovah's Witnesses, do you know of any other Unitarian church?
Yeah, there's quite a few churches that do not believe in the deity of Jesus Christ.
Is it like Seventh-day Adventists maybe?
So,
they don't.
I will tell you the ones that are in the most danger of all are those that believe more in a oneness type of doctrine. Your United Pentecostals, they are in deep trouble with the Noahide law, because they tell you that Jesus Christ is God. All right. Whereas the Trinitarian belief is that he is the Son of God, which is still just as much punishable by death, because this is what the Pharisees did 2,000 years ago.
Right.
You saying you are the Son of God, it makes yourself as if you were God.
If you believe in a Trinity, if you believe that Jesus is God with us, Emmanuel, if you worship him, if you pray to him, right? Because we pray only to God. If you believe,
so then why not? What's the big deal then with Rabbi Schneerson then? He was just a man as well.
That's what I was going to bring on right now.
Did
the
I cheat?
Hypocrisy. You
Yes.
cheated. Yes, exactly.
Sorry.
So again,
I punched the line before we got to the punch line.
oh, it's okay. So first of all, if you are in a branch of Christianity that you don't believe Jesus is God, you have nothing to worry about. They're gonna let you slide.
Yes.
Okay. But then listen what they
So
say
Jehovah's Witnesses with their
They will be
new
fine.
world coming will fit right into a
Yeah.
new world order.
They're fine. They're not going to be affected at all.
Wow.
So, yeah, isn't that interesting? Yes,
Maybe
exactly.
they were working with them the whole time.
I really don't know. But now we go, page 113. They say, what is actual idolatry? And I will prove to you that they are the ones practicing it. So here comes the leaven of Pharisees. When Jesus said, you hypocrites, okay? They're hypocrites. Look at this. For example, those who worship spirits of the dead or any other spirits which they imagine to exist are idol worshippers. Those who worship spirits of the dead. Now let's see what they do with Rabbi Schneerson. Okay? This on a slide, you have a book.
Yes.
Can you
Daniel
move it up,
can't say
please? Oh, here. Identifying Chabad. It's the name of a book. Identifying Chabad.
Yes, that's a difference.
And there is a section in the book that it's right here that says where the problem actually is in this book, okay? The Rebbe is not dead. And this is what they believe about Schneerson. I'm not kidding you. Number one, the Rebbe is not dead but still lives, so that we cannot celebrate his Yahrzeit. And he's present everywhere. They say he's present everywhere. One may pray to the Rebbe, who also knows our innermost thoughts. Okay? The Rebbe is omniscient, which is, in simple English, means he knows everything. A quality which is possessed only by Hashem himself. The Rebbe is omnipotent, meaning all-powerful, Kol Yachol, which is also the exclusive attribute of the Creator. The Rebbe is the essence and being of God enclosed in a body. This, together with the idea of the second coming of a dead Messiah, has therefore been recognized as standard Christian, certainly not Jewish theology, okay?
Kol Yachol, by the way, is all of everything.
Yeah,
Yachol.
so some branches of the Chabad are really looking at Rebbe this way, as the omniscient, omnipotent. They're praying to him. And I will show you a video where children in yeshivas are actually praising and talking to the so-called invisible Rabbi Schneerson, believing that his spirit is right there. And where is the proof, Steve? We have Jared Kushner and Ivanka
praying to Rabbi Schneerson.
Praying to Rabbi Schneerson.
For
to the
Trump
dead,
to win.
From Trump to win. Or when it was an attempt on his life, they credited Rabbi Schneerson
for being there to intervene.
And actually intervening on his behalf.
Where was Jesus Christ in all of this?
Yeah, where is Jesus Christ? Would Christian White House ever allow such
Would
statements?
President Trump, if he is truly a Christian, would he have not stood up and corrected this and say, no, sir?
Right, exactly. But now, you see, the proof is here. What kind of hypocrites these people are, because they are planning on beheading Christians for worshiping Jesus Christ, yet they're literally worshiping a dead Schneerson. And why is White House celebrating every single year Schneerson's birthday?
You know, think about what's happening, guys. I mean, everything about Yeshua has been replaced by this man Schneerson. Mm-hmm. People in modern times use Christmas as the celebration of the birth of Yeshua. Although we know it's not his birth time and stuff like that, but and we know that it has a lot of past in
Pagan
things,
roots,
pagan roots,
right.
etc. So I'm not here to justify that. But the point is that nonetheless, regardless of the pagan roots, the Catholic Church did create a celebration of the birth of Yeshua. Now they've got a birth of the false Messiah here, Rabbi Schneerson, which was kind of weird because even though I don't agree with many of the things that Rabbi Schneerson said to start with, this man here was telling Bibi Netanyahu he was looking for the coming of the Messiah.
Now let's go to the next slide, Steve, because we're going to come to the slide what Bibi is involved with.
Oh, do you actually have that one up?
Yeah, oh, that one here, let me look into my notes. The reason I brought this rabbi is, this is a Chabad rabbi. His name is Rabbi Levi Shem Tov. He's a Chabad emissary in Washington, D.C., nonetheless, and rabbi to ambassadors, presidents, potentates, shares first-hand accounts how the Rebbe's teaching, which is Schneerson's teachings, have influenced the world's most powerful men and women. Now, I went through the entire speech, and I'll tell you, it's not the most pleasant speech, because once you know what's really happening and you see what they're doing, but let me go to a few of his points here. For example, 11:30 through 16. He speaks of the Schneerson and how they're talking about Schneerson, and they're talking to very important diplomats and presidents, you know. Yes, 11:30. Yeah,
Here we go.
16 and 42 through 44.
Here we go.
There was a whole brouhaha about opening or closing the Supreme Court barbershop. So I asked him, Supreme Court, which Supreme Court? She says, the Supreme Court of the United States. It seemed odd to me that the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court would come to this barber in DuPont Circle, but he did. Sure enough, a few minutes later, the limousine pulls up, and out walks the Chief Justice, William Rehnquist, the judge presiding over the highest court in the land, coming to get his hair cut. The barber's very excited, and as soon as the Chief Justice walks in, he quickly makes an introduction. He says, this is the rabbi, this is the Chief Justice. He introduces one to the other. So I don't know how it works here in the Valley, but in Washington, D.C., you make your point very quickly, or you don't get to make it at all. So therefore, I have been trained, and in my experiences, I have learned that I need to make a point very quickly sometimes. So I said, Mr. Chief Justice, it's an honor to meet you. I just want you to know that by presiding over a court of justice, you are upholding one of the main principles of the 7 Noahide Laws, which is something very sanctified, notwithstanding your particular legal position. Meaning to say that whether I feel you're right or you're wrong, just the fact that this institution of justice is being upheld is a great precept of the 7 Noahide Laws, and I want you to know that it's something sanctified from my perspective. So the judge says, the justice says, I appreciate that very much. I'll especially remember it the next time I offer the dissenting opinion.
Anyway, Steve, I mean,
put on my jacket to leave.
Is it 16? No. Okay, if you keep going in this video, because we're going to leave a link, he's going to say to how many chiefs of justice in Supreme Court, he meets them, he talks to them everywhere, and how they all welcome Schneerson, how they welcome 7 Noahide Laws, and what kind of success Chabad organization has all over the world with spreading the message of Schneerson, and how this message is accepted by all these big people in the Supreme Court and presidents, and that's what he's talking about. His entire speech is about that. Then he's talking about army officer who was a Jew, and he's speaking how the message of Schneerson brought him back to Judaism. And basically the entire message is about Schneerson, and he's speaking of greatness of Schneerson and Noahide Laws. So please watch this so you can see what's really happening within the Chabad, and how they're proselyte. They're basically spreading. They're responsible for spreading these Noahide Laws everywhere. Keep going,
What's
Steve.
the next one? Same right where we left off?
No. Just can you go to the next slide?
Next slide, not this video at all. Okay.
And here we go. I wanted to bring you this Benjamin Netanyahu with his right-wing Likud party and Shas party and all the religious that are with him, okay, and gaining more and more power. And Benjamin Netanyahu did talk to Noahides on their conventions, and he congratulates them and completely agrees with 7 Noahide laws. But here we go. Let's see this video where he talks to Schneerson.
He says, much success. I haven't seen you in a long time. Blessing and success. A double portion of benediction. I came to ask you blessing and help. That was said in yellow. When you see the yellow, that'll be Prime Minister Netanyahu. In everything, the rabbi goes on to say. In all areas, both personal and political. Since we last met, many things have progressed. Many things have progressed. What hasn't changed, however, is that Mashiach still hasn't come. Notice that. Mashiach still hasn't come. So do something to hasten his coming. That's war, by the way, if you want to define that. We're doing. Apparently it's not enough. Since many hours have already passed today, he's still not here. But there is still a few hours left in the day. So try still for today. Yes, good tidings, with joy and happiness. You know that the Chassidim are careful to do everything with joy. Yes, good tidings, much success.
Okay, so basically Benjamin Netanyahu is definitely in favor of message of Schneerson. And I have mentioned in the previous videos, I don't know in which one exactly, that Schneerson's writings, even though that they are inside of United States law system and he is proclaimed as a great educator, they were never translated to English until the Israel Shahak, the chemists and professor at Hebrew University, came along, and he has decided to show the Gentiles the truth, who Schneerson really was and what his writings are about. And in his writings, Schneerson portrayed Gentiles as animals, and he says that all souls of Gentiles originate from evil sphere, while the soul of Jews originate from divine sphere. And he also said that all Gentiles were created only for the sake of the Jews,
serving the Jews,
to be their servants.
Yes.
Okay, so if you think about it, that if this person Schneerson wrote such materials, okay, and he's portrayed in the United States as a great educator and a moral person and spreading more message of morality, what kind of morality is this? And why in our United States White House we are celebrating such person's birthday and proclaiming him to be a great educator? It's beyond me.
Let me just say one thing as well, and I think this is very important as you guys listen to this, what we're saying tonight, because some people, as you mentioned a lot of times, Yanka, is that they say, that you guys are being anti-Semitic by what you're doing. If we're anti-Semitic, then Yeshua, Jesus Christ himself, was more anti-Semitic than I ever thought about, or you ever thought about being, because he was dealing with the Pharisees, and he was calling them a generation of vipers. Now that's King James Version. According to the Hebrew version, it is seed of vipers. And he says, how can you escape the damnation of hell? And he even admits, he says, yes, you have your father Abraham, but the works that you do, your father is the devil. Mm-hmm. All right? Now, but the one key that he always gave, if you know whether or not that Pharisee was a good man or a good woman, is if they believed upon Yeshua as the Messiah.
Yeah, and we as Jews, Steve and I, we know that in the book of Revelation, it does describe people that are called Jews, who call themselves Jews, but they're instead synagogue of Satan. So we know that there will be people who will be calling themselves Jews, okay? But they're not really true Jews, and they're synagogue of Satan, right? And so I feel that we as Jewish people are being hijacked by a certain group of people who call themselves Jews. And this is mainly where maybe Dr. Day, because she comes across as anti-Semitic sometimes, but saying Jew, 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 you know, all the time, and Jews are the fault of everything. And that gets a little confusing for some people.
Yeah, I mean, even with myself, I mean, sometimes, and I think it's because so many things in the world we're finding out does have a lot of root that goes back to the Zionists. I prefer to use the word Zionist.
Zionist instead of
because
Jews, right.
there's so many good Jewish people today
Exactly.
that love God, and even they may not recognize Yeshua to be the Messiah as of yet, but they love God. They really have a sincere heart for God.
Yeah, and they have a love for the world, for the Gentile people
exactly.
as well, and they don't mean any
Solomon,
harsh.
Gershon Solomon, perfect example. You know, very dear friend of ours, and the man loves God with all of his heart. His picture, if you can see the reflection, is hanging on the wall right here with Jana and with Zev, his good friend, his lifelong friend. And Gershon, he loved the Gentile people. He did not look at them as servants. Right. He looked at them as fellow people. Even though he couldn't believe that Yeshua was the Messiah, he looked at them as they would be one with the Jewish people and serving God together. And there are so many people like that in Israel today. Many Orthodox, Chabad, different groups of Orthodox Jews that sit there. They talk with us. They've talked with me for hours on end about the Messiah, the prophecies. How do you know these things? You know, we've got another good friend there in Israel. He's talking to the Orthodox community about Yeshua on a daily basis.
And has a great success.
Exactly.
Right. So what we want to make is distinction between Zionists and the Jewish people who have a good heart, and we cannot put them all into one bag. Right?
That's exactly right.
So this is very important distinction, but the problem is who is gaining the power, who has the power today, and the power has that evil group that is taking over in Israel, and it's taking over in the United States. And they're the ones who lead the state of Israel. That's why we have to be very careful how we support Israel and what we support. I don't think that's the one I wanted, Stephen.
Okay.
There is another one. Yes, the Gentiles. This is from Schneerson Center for Jewish Life.ct. And this is what these people believe here, okay? And when I say these people, I mean the people who are gaining power, even in our White House, Chabad Jews. In fact, they are the huge criminal organization, Steve, as you know, who is connecting the presidents, right? Putin, Trump are all connected through Chabad.
Big connection going on there. We're still doing the investigation on this, but there is a major connection.
The main thing is we want these Noahide laws out of our United States system. We want them out. We don't want this group in the White House. We do not want them to gain power over our way of life. You see, they have no dangers from Christians, because Christians really truly go by the Ten Commandments. When Christians says we don't murder nobody, no Jew, no Gentile, not even the enemy. Yeshua says love your enemy. So we are really like lambs. We don't kill anybody. We are not taught to kill. However, they are talking killing and beheading. So we gotta get them out of our system. Question: the Gentiles on the time of Messiah. What will be the status of the Gentile nations when Messiah comes? Will everyone convert to Judaism? This is the answer from Schneerson Center. They will not necessarily convert to Judaism, but all will follow the Noahide code. You see? And now they're talking about messianic times in Israel, building of the third temple, right?
That's right.
So this is what they're working on. Converting the world.
And keep in mind, when you're involved, or you know ministers that are involved, that are heavily supportive of the building of the third temple, and heavily supportive of President Trump and the making one with Israel, you know, this is where that danger comes in. We were supposed to be the light to the Jews. We were supposed, but you know what we find out? Ephraim was found in idolatry. He was supposed to win his brother Judah back to Christ, but he was found in idolatry. And what idolatry was he found in? Into the worship of the state of Israel instead of the worship of Jesus Christ and leading the people back to the true Messiah.
Right, exactly. So here we go. This is what they're working on, and maybe my last slide, Stephen, because we are kind of like really showing we are tired today and we had a difficult day. But anyway, thinking about our children, Education Day USA, this is from last year, March 27, 2018. This is the picture from the White House, okay? It shows the Rabbi Shem Tov, you know, and other rabbis. But what is interesting about this, what happened last year, Stephen, didn't happen in previous years, that was so weird, was that all 50 states has accepted this proclamation. Until last year, there were always some states that just didn't go by it and they didn't accept it. But suddenly,
now they've all accepted
in 2018, when Trump was already in power, this is when it happened. When Jared Kushner is in the White House as an advisor, okay? Suddenly all 50 states have accepted it. Let's read about this here. And of course, Rabbi Menachem Schneerson, the racist Schneerson, righteous memory. How righteous memory? I don't understand that at all, because, you know, anybody in White House is selling out Christian people in America by producing articles like this. But it says in here, since Jimmy Carter and all this one has happened, but let's keep going. All right, it says what happened with Carter, how it was established. Let's keep going here. President Donald J. Trump followed the previous 6 presidents from Carter to Barack Obama, and he issued a proclamation marking Education and Sharing Day, the second of his presidency. A delegation of Chabad Lubavitch leaders met with the president in Oval Office for the signing. Since the day's inception, states, cities, and localities have likewise designated the Rebbe's birthday as Education Day. And this year, for the first time, proclamations or the equivalent have been issued by the governors of all 50 states and the mayor of Washington, D.C., recognizing the day and what it stands for. Some 100 more city and local proclamations have been issued from Alameda, California to Twinkwater, Washington, El Paso, Texas. Shame on you. Shame on all of these politicians who have done this. And of course, American public is not in the know, but we are bringing it forward to you.
Well, you know, the problem is they're getting the watered-down version. They're getting the watered-down version of the Noahide Laws, like the lady that wrote you that letter.
Yeah, like what's
as if it's no big deal.
Right, it is a huge deal. If you really go and understand what's behind it, it is a huge deal. So this is why we are here educating you. We will bring you some more stuff next time.
That was the last one right there.
Yes, we will bring more stuff next time. Hopefully we'll have a little better day than today. And we will talk about many, many other things on upcoming chats, right, Steve?
Yes. But when I wear black, it's not because of a bad day. I don't. So all the times y'all saw me in black, different issue altogether.
Okay.
Just the color. I liked it that day. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you also, Yanka, for your amazing work that you do. She works so diligently through the entire week putting this information together for you guys. So I know it's a tremendous job on her and what she's doing. If this type of ministry, this Steve and Jana chat is a blessing to you, and you want to support the work that we're doing here, or I should say the work that Jana is doing, because she's the one that really dives deep into this for hours on end. It's not just a one-day thing. When I do my own news research, I spend normally the day doing it. With Jana, it is 6 days of preparation, minus the Sabbath of 5 days actually of preparation. But even on the day of the broadcast, she's still preparing. Support the broadcast. Go to our website, IsraeliNewsLive.org, and let me just go over there real quick because we need to. Maybe we should show them today.
I have produced the article on Patreon. It deals with
I can't go
Talmud.
onto that right now. I can show you on Facebook that, but okay, I can't.
Yes. So please read that information as well, because we are.
If you go to Israeli News Live, we posted the link from Patreon where you can go to that to make it easier for you. Israeli News Live on Facebook, I think it's on there. Yes, right there. Talmud Exposed. So if you want to read this article here, it's a very insightful article that Jana wrote. But what I wanted to share with you, though, that's really on my mind right now, our website is back up and normal again. Thank you, Brother Gary. His precious brothers worked very hard to do this. So if you go to our website, you have right here 2 different ways. You can click and donate right here online, or you have our address, Dunoon Institute, 8297 Champions Gate Boulevard, number 442. But don't forget the conference, March 30th. I want to make sure I stress that. I have a precious brother almost bought his plane ticket for May 30th. No, not May 30th, March 30th. There's the address right there, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. I'll be speaking at 9 a.m. going to 11:30. There is an hour and a half to 2 hour lunch. Jana will speak right after the lunch period as well, 2.5 hours. And when we say 2.5 hours, some of us will be using 2 messages in that time frame. We might break it up. So, and then after Jana speaks, then it'll be Dr. Pigeon. He speaks around 4 p.m. after being a little 30-minute break, 4 p.m. Right down to 6:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. roughly in there. We still have 2 hours available there, so we will do a questions and answers, but we're going to have 3x5 cards for those of you that are going to be there. So you can write your question on the 3x5 card, and that's what we're going to do that to keep things a little bit more orderly. But our really big thing is we want to be able to shake your hand and tell you God bless you to each and every person that comes there. So
yes, and if you didn't get confirmation, if you did purchase a ticket, you will get it eventually. Please just be patient.
And if you didn't get confirmation, and if you want to make a comment on the post, you can. If you're worried about your name, you don't have to put your full name in there. But I can't comment back to you if your name is in your email, so just keep that in mind. But I have been, people that have emailed me, stephenbenoon@gmail.com, I've been letting them know. And also people have been commenting on the on the article, I've been letting them know there as well. So yes, our videos are back up. Gary was really precious to put this. It's right there at the top of the website there for you, so you can see the conference itself. So.
Yes, and also I wanted to say, if you didn't specify with $50 that it is for conference,
we had somebody do that, and they wrote us, so I would know, and I thank you for doing that. I emailed that person back, but if you didn't put it in the description, please put it there because we don't know.
If it's a donation for our work or if it's for conference, so we really need to know.
Yes, we do need to know.
Yes. So.
And those of you that are wanting to pay at the door, and keep in mind, it's still non-refundable. We have to do it that way. I hate to do it that way, but we're obligated to a certain size of the building. Otherwise, we could make it smaller, and it would be cheaper for us as well.
And we have a speaker to come, which we have to cover his expenses, so it's not really,
Right. So if you want to pay at the door, leave in the comment on this particular article here, I'm coming, my friend, my wife, my husband, whatever, and we will put you down. We'll put you down that you're on there. I'll comment back to you. And as you can see, no, you have to click on the article, I guess. Ooh. Well, that one you can't click there. Maybe it's down here on the side. Yeah, coming persecution Orlando. Yeah, you can click on it there. When you click on the article itself directly, then we get into the comments. And I'm able to reply. This person here was saying that I think they're coming. Yes, so I said yes, we'll do it. So that's how I can confirm that yes, you're coming, and we will add you to our list there. If you want to be able to print out confirmation, just take a picture with your phone or print it out directly from the thing that you've done, and that'll be fine. But we'll have a list of names of people too that are coming, so it won't be a problem.
Yes.
Anyway, thank you for watching. I'm out of breath. Anyway, shalom, shalom, friends. And blessings to you.
Blessings. Good evening. Oh, we didn't go for...